So for everyone who's here, thank you for coming. My name is Jia Rong. I am one of the committee members in Splash Awards this year. So I'll be here to share with you guys more about what Splash Awards is all about. So Splash Awards has been running for the last 18 years, right? So the team for the and these are some of the dates that we have actually set. So for your mentors as well as for our participants who are submitting an entry, do take note of this deadline. So the theme for this year is actually how will digital intelligence and cloud transform Singapore in a post-pandemic world. Right, so the theme is actually very long, but it actually sets the stage for us, right? So digital intelligence and cloud, I will share with you guys what it is more. And we want to see, we are looking for innovation, right? Innovative ideas or problem or solutions that can help, in Singapore's transformation. So this competition, we are looking to have students to actually have the opportunity to learn, to deploy solutions. And this is really a very exciting space for us because while you join competitions, one of the things that you always take away is new skills, new friends, right? So these are things that we hope that our participants here today will gain and benefit from the competition. Now, so it is also the first ever hybrid competition that was done both online and on-site due to COVID-19 last year. So we are actually one of the very first student hybrid competitions. All right. So this year's competition has been, the theme is very long, but what we have done is we've identified 10 sub-teams for our participants to actually consider. We still have an open team, so it doesn't mean that, if your ideas don't fall into any of these sub-teams, you can't submit an entry. So please feel free to submit an entry. We are always looking forward to looking at, seeing some very interesting and innovative solutions, right? So there's community building, there is education, family lifestyle, finance, healthcare, retail, sustainability, cybersecurity, transport, logistics, and communications, right? Each of these sub-teams have their own problems, right? And I mean, if you the upcoming ideation workshop is where Dr. Gary, he will actually run through with you guys on how do you identify the problems and stuff like this, right? So the workshop for today is about prototyping. So we'll assume that you already have an idea, all right? So there are two categories, so pre-tertiary as well as tertiary. So if you guys fall into any of them, you guys are competing in this section. So there are two groups of winners, all right? Each team, maximum 3 packs, 3 students. They need to be from the same school, college, or institution, and you need to find a mentor. So the mentor from your school will actually provide guidance as well as be the point of contact for the competition, right? I'm going to stop here. Any questions so far? Yes, no, no, okay. I will proceed, yeah. Okay, so these are the timelines. We have the Splash Awards is split up into 3 stages. So stage A, it's about, ideas. So we are looking forward to picking, 40 ideas to proceed on to stage B, right? So stage A, it's really a Word document with some images, to depict your ideas. Stage B is where there will be more prototyping for you to really do some coding and stuff like this. Then stage C is where you compete in the finals, right? So don't be I mean, for prototyping stage B, we will have a suite of workshops prepared for line up for our participants as well. So do look forward to it, right? So right now we are at stage A. Stage A, the whole purpose of this is really we want to look for we want to see ideas, right? So do form a team, bring in your friends and challenge the competition. Now, the reason why personally I think you guys should do this, all right, is because, okay, so we have upcoming sessions. So do scan this QR code to find out more. What are the sessions that is coming up? Just some date tomorrow. There is actually one. It's not too late for you to sign up. So do sign up if you are keen to explore more in the cybersecurity sub team. then 29th. So the ideation workshop is actually on the 2nd, and the cloud-based workshop is going to be on the 7th. All right. Um, Now, this is the reason why. Okay, so MacBook, we have, thanks to our sponsors, we have been able to give you guys very, very exciting prizes. The MacBook Pro is for the winning team, right? And there are $20,000 worth of prizes for the others, the first runner-up, second runner, and so on and so forth as well. Right? For each sub teams, we may also have a special prize for them. So do consider this because it is a free MacBook. All right. So these are some of the past years competition. Unfortunately, this year because of COVID-19, we may not necessarily be able to, gather all at one place to showcase your ideas and stuff like this. But nevertheless, I think the learning journey, the objectives of it is for you guys to learn and understand more about the industry and the technologies out there. Right, so these are some of the competition. And in 2020 last year, we did a hybrid. So there was a very cool stage. We used some Microsoft Hubs, Mozilla Hubs technology to really allow participants to come in and browse the gallery and stuff like this. Right. So looking forward to your entries. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of my of the secretaries here, Camilla, as well as the SES. Right. Now, time for the session. Quick introduction about myself. My name is Jia Rong. I'm the Solutions Director of Noggin. Prior to this, I actually ran my own startup where we actually did solutioning for our customers. So we built websites, we built mobile apps. And what I'm passionate about is really training and or mentoring IT students to go into to really enjoy and appreciate technology. I mean, one of the challenges that I saw was that my time, a lot of people were so afraid of IT, so afraid of coding, because every time cannot sleep and stuff like that. So that's where my passion is. I've been doing coding for the last 15 years already, and I still enjoy doing it today. Right? Okay, so agendas for today, as I have shared with you guys, I'm gonna briefly run through with you guys. So I've prepared, some checklist for you guys to really think through to help you guys transform your ideas into a prototype. We are going to have a short break later. You can take this time to ask some questions or anything as well. Then after that, we will, based on what we have learned, right, I would like to engage you guys to, go into a breakout rooms as well and form, and we'll appoint teams, right, to actually run through an exercise. So the exercise is basically applying what I've shared with you guys at, the ideation to prototype activity. Then after that, we'll come back together again, for a quick sharing, for the teams to share, okay, these are the ideas based on what we have, following the template. These are some of the things that we have managed, we have came up with. And then the exercise 2, right? So there will be 2 exercises for this. And then at 5 o'clock, I will go through some tips, for your submission. And then last but not least, another round of Q&A. Okay, so without further ado, so the workshops I have shared, like what I shared, right? Stage A, there is a suite of workshops for you guys. And I really wanted to, take some time to share with you guys why we feel that, this will really be helpful. Whether or not you're submitting an entry, I think at the end of the day, you will still have to go through ideation for the prototype and all the phases, right? So there are we have workshops for ideation, we have workshops for prototyping, and we have workshop for technical feasibility, right? So these are actually 3 steps or the 3 portions, that we find that will help you in your submission, right? You wouldn't want to submit an idea that, at the end of the day, when you reach to stage B, you can't apply them. So these are things that we have prepared for you. We brought in experts to help you guys. So do sit in on the workshop, and really you will definitely be learning something or two. And also we do have sub teams. So our partners as well as our sponsors have actually prepared some sharing sessions, to share some of their challenges that they are facing, to share some use case that they have seen being applied with the technologies. And these are some of the dates that we have set. So I mean, we are at here today, and as I have shared earlier, Unfortunately, due to some scheduling, we couldn't schedule the ideation timing earlier. So we will actually be going through the prototype, and we'll assume that you have already gone through the ideation workshop. But the ideation workshop is happening on I think next Friday. So do sign up if do sign up, and definitely they will be helpful, right? So we have already done one of the workshops, and the next coming one is actually tomorrow by cybersecurity CSA. So they please do. I mean, if you are keen to submit an entry on cybersecurity top sub team, do join them, right? So for those who may have missed out this the workshops, if there is demand, we'll be happy to conduct another session before the competition submission deadline. So do feel free to reach out to any of our secretariats or send an email to the inquiry, and we'll be happy to organize another one more, right? So ideation to prototype, it has, I think it's a very common words, right? Whenever you share an idea, people ask you got anything to show or not, right? When people say you got anything to show, it technically is actually prototyping. And it is an experimental and exploration phase, right? So we wouldn't want to actually spend a lot of time in there. It's just dumping ideas and trying to get something solid out of that. And basically what we do is we just piece up all the ideas together. We put them together and say, okay, we think this is the best solution that we can address, right? So this is how ideation to prototype phase works. And in this phase, generally the output is a wireframe or some design options, or some mockups, that you can actually use to illustrate your ideas, right? So this is something that through this workshop, I hope to share with you guys what are the top processes to things. And these are very specific to technology. There are many ways to do this, and this is my own framework. So I hope that it will be helpful to you guys, right? So checklist number one, as I have shared, right, the ideation workshop is supposed to get you guys to a point where you guys can have ideas, right? So what I'm gonna do today is that I'm just gonna pick one of the ideas from 2019's workshop, right? 2019's competition, and this is the one that I selected. So we throughout this entire workshop, we will be using this as our idea, right? So let's try to transform this idea into a prototype, right? Right. So make learning English fun for school-age children by evoking their creativity, curiosity, and inculcating a habit of reading in them, right? So that is the idea. Now, whenever we have this idea, we need to identify three things. It's the what, right? What do we want to do in this idea? So we want to make learning English fun, right? The next question is, who is it for? Right. So the who in this, based on this session, this idea, is that the who is for school age children. And last but not least is the how. And how we want to make it fun is by invoking their creativity, curiosity, and inculcating a habit of reading in them. All right. So whenever you have an idea, the idea would have already identified the who, would have already identified the what, would have already identified the how, right? And when you are trying to transform an idea into a prototype, you need to be clear what these three are. And with that, it will help you in your long run. I'm going to just pause here. Anyone has any questions so far? Hello. Can we do a mic test with our participants? Hello. Anyone can say hi, unmute your mic and say hi first.
Hi.
Hi, Jia Rui, right? Thank you. Thank you for being so sporty. So I hope that, as we go on, you guys feel free to actually reach out to ask questions. You can stop me anytime, no worries, right? Because we are actually in a very small group. This is really more like a session to reach out to you guys, right? So after we have identified, after we have an idea, right, we will identify the what, the who, and the how. What's next, right? The idea is, the idea is something that you have in your mind, right? And to go down to prototype, we have to find a platform, right? So what does a platform mean? A platform basically is the place where you are going to deliver that solution, that problem-solving solution that you have. And from my perspective, typically there are three platforms, right? They are the mobile app, as well as the hardware, right? So I can give you an example, right? If you want to actually solve a blind person's uh, um, challenges in climbing a stairs, you wouldn't want to actually deliver your solution on the website because they would have a challenge going to the website already, right? It could actually be implemented on a hardware better, right? So these are some of the things that you would have to decide after you have an idea where is the best platform to actually put them. And I have actually prepared some questions for you to think about, right? So the first thing is, do the who have access to that? Right. So in our case, our target for the who is actually uh, school age children's, right? Do the school age children's have access to a hardware? Do the school age children's have access to mobile phones? Do the school age children's have access to the website? Right. So these are where you guys can actually put in some your own understanding, or you guys can actually do some research in. All right. The next one is, can the how be delivered? Right? So if I want it to be in a hardware, and my question is, I want to make it exciting, I want to invoke creativity, can I do that via the hardware or not? Or would it be better if I were to do it from the mobile phone? Or would it be better if I were to do it from the website? Right? So these are questions that you would think, right, to expand further on the idea that you have. And last but not least is the what effective, right? So if I were to do this on a hardware, which is maybe a toy, right, a 3D toy, would it be as effective as would it be more effective if I were to do it on the web instead? Right? So these are thoughts that, I think you guys will want to put some thinking into, but don't go too deep into it, right? Because what I do typically is, okay lah, do I have access to this? I just give it a rating of 1 to 5, and then I just dump the number there. So the platform with the highest number, in general, is the platform that we will pick to actually put to implement our solution. All right. Okay. So next is actually our checklist for platform 3. In a minute, let me do some time check. Yeah. Okay. So the next one that we have, now that we have selected our platform, the next thing that we want to identify is what are the features that we want to give to our to our who, right? And how we go about that, is really pretty simple. We don't want to go dive too deep into it, because that is where the adjustments of your solution or your idea comes in. And if in the context of this competition, that's stage B's problem, right? In stage A today, we want to identify features and solutions. We want to identify the problem. We want to come up with a mock-up, an idea on how we want to do that, right? So the how is the very important thing in here, right? Because once you have identified the how, we know that we want to focus on creativity, invoking creativity, we want to focus on invoking curiosity, and we want to focus on, building the habit of reading, right? So this is where this is how you actually start building the features, right? So for example, for if you want to evoke creativity, what can you do? What can the solution do to evoke creativity? And that's where you put them down, you list them down as a features. All right. Curiosity, so on and so forth. So these are questions that you would want to ask yourself, because you are actually focusing on the how now, right? And the features basically addresses the hows. All right. So once you have actually, there is no hard number to how many features you can have, because prototyping is really about dumping all the ideas into one pot, and then you just pick and choose, and then say, okay, this complements each other the best, and this should be the solution that we are looking for. All right. So please go wow in this. You don't have to worry about, can it be done or cannot be done at this point of time. It doesn't matter yet, right? It's about coming up with features that really addresses this how. After that, then we talk about, what are the challenges that we may face, implementation challenges and stuff like this, right? So now we have the features, we have the list of features. We then need to decide, right, what's the system behind it, right? So what I mean by system, okay, the mechanism it is, right? So for example, if my idea for the previous one is that I want to actually implement a challenge feature in this application that I have chosen, right? Um, what do I need? What kind of things do I need to have to build this feature? If I need challenges, I would probably need to have a list of challenges to give. Is 100 enough? Is 200 enough? Is 300 challenges enough? Right? And in English, there may be many topics, right? So those are the things that you would want to put more thoughts into it. And then what are the must-have and what are the want-to-have? So features-wise, there are things that complements it and there are things that is a good to have, right? So you have to identify them. For example, if you want to have a challenge, then you must record them down somewhere, right? You have to actually either keep a score, or you would want to keep an achievement list. So this would have to be in a must-have, right? Because if you don't have this, then what's the point of doing a challenge, right? So these are things that you would identify in a must-have and a want-to-have. So an example of a want-to-have for a challenge would be I can share this challenge with a friend of mine to another friend of mine, right? Because that is I would say that isn't critical to the feature, but that is a want to have. That's a good to have. If we have that, even better. That's what would encourage us to get our friends on board on the stuff. And for each feature, basically, you run through these three questions. So you just do on the feature 2, feature 3, and then you go to feature N. All right, that is how we look into deciding what are the features that we want to have, as well as the implementation of them. So if you see one feature with like 20 items in the must-have, and then comparing to a feature with maybe 5 or 6 items in the must-haves, then that actually indicates to you how difficult it is going to be to implement them after that. Right? So those are some of the thought processes that you would want to go through while transforming your idea into a prototype. Any questions so far? I hope it's clear. If it is clear, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, I see one. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next, right? So the user journey, okay. Now, after you have all the features, right, you need to start thinking, how is the user going to see them? How is the user going to interact with your solution, right? Whether it's a hardware or it is a mobile app or it's a website, right? They need to be able to interact, and that's where the user journey comes in. There are many definitions for user journey, so I'm just putting the name user journey in here, but at the end of the day, it's about what the users see, all right? So really the question that you guys would want to ask yourself is, what do the users see and what can the users do, right? And you start off with the very first page or the very first thing. When the user sees your website, for example, what do you want them to be able to, when your users visits the website, what do you want them to see, right? What do you want them to be able to do, right? And basically, based on each of the features, you would actually will have more than one screens, to achieve that. And for each screen, for each thing that your users can do in a page, you will then create more pages and you repeat the cycle again and again and again. So at the end of the day, what you will have is that you will probably have, uh, 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 some a list of pages, right, with all the things that the users can do and can see. Right? And with that, it will then help you to really look at, okay, based on this one feature, it needs 20, 30 pages. Oh my God, that's very hard for me to implement, right? Then maybe we want to drop this feature. Let's look at something else first. right? Because when you participate in a competition, the judges hope that you can have a complete solution, but they are also excited to learn about what plans you have moving forward, right? So with the resources that you have now, you can only implement something that has 6 screens versus one that has 30 screens, right? But you already have that in the plan, right? So these are some of the top processes that will also help you along your journey in this competition. That's how you strike that MacBook. Okay. As you move along, you just need to focus. What can the user see? What can the user do? And that brings us to our next one, which is the design. So of course, I'm sure not everybody is talented in the design. I can code, but I cannot design. My design looks very very bad. Um, but that's where you bring in the team member that can help you. Or you look for external help to support you. Maybe a classmate that can do design, and that's where you can bring it. You can ask them to see if they can support you guys in this. All right. But in the design, I don't want to go very, very deep into this, but I'm just gonna throw you guys a bunch of resources, a bunch of things that I want you guys to I want you guys to go and consider to explore, right? And I'm also gonna do quickly share with you guys, one of the tools that we use in Login and ESOP, to quickly show you guys, how does it work, and how can it help you guys understand or share your idea better. All right. So you have to think about what the web or the mobile app or the hardware looks like. All right. I'm going to be just focusing on the software side of things. But in general, the hardware portion, you might want to actually do some 3D printing. Yeah, I'm sure your schools would have a maker space somewhere with all the available tools for you. Your lecturers will probably be very happy to connect you with them. So you might want to actually do some 3D models, to say roughly this is how it's going to look like, this is where the things are going to be implemented and stuff like this. But for the website, right, I would actually want to introduce to you guys Adobe XD. How many of you guys have heard of Adobe XD and is using Adobe XD now? Anyone? If it's a yes, then put a thumbs up. If it's a no, then put a thumbs down. Never hear before Adobe XD before. Okay. So we see a few of the participants, have heard of Adobe XD and probably used Adobe XD before, right? One of the reasons why, and this is what we use in Login and ESOP, is because it is really very interactive, and there's a ton of templates, right? So I'm going to give you guys some time, okay? Do scan this QR code, because it will bring you to a page, right, with all the UI templates that you can have for iOS, for Google, for Bootstrap, Material UI, and so on and so forth, that you can use that you can really cut down the time to implement all these things. Right. So Adobe XD is something that that really helps you to craft out your ideas, right? And based on the checklist that you've done in the front, right, you would have already identified what can the users see and what can the users do, right? And usually what the users can do are in the form of a button or something that you can interact with. What can the users see are usually in the form of a label. So as you go on with the pages, for each page, you would actually want to come up with like page for this, like the sushi place, call taxi, call lift, and stuff like this, right? Those are where you actually identify and be clear on what are the information that you need to display in the app, and what are the things that the users can do already. So all of these checklists really helps you to get to this stage, because at this stage, this is that prototype. Right? And Adobe XD allows you to quickly link buttons to screens and so on and so forth, so that you can jump around. Later, I'll show you guys. But Adobe XD is not the only one available in the market. All right. We have partners who use Figma as well. Right. So Figma is something similar to Adobe XD. The difference is that Figma is on the web. So for Adobe XD, you need to download the application onto your PC. It is free to use, right? Figma is a premium model, so you have a free tier, and then you can actually as you go along, as your team grows, you will have to pay. But I believe under 3 it wouldn't be a problem, right? So It's just as similar. The only difference, one is on the web, one is on the mobile. One is on the web, one is on the desktop, right? And as we grow our designs, right, the project will expand bigger and bigger. And the reason why we actually pick Adobe XD is because it relies on our computer's power, not on the web, all right? There are some limitations on the web. So there is also others, but there is a QR code that, if you guys want to know, you guys can scan, which will bring you to a very quick tutorial on on how to use Figma. Um, done. Right. So later after we are done with this, we still have some time. I'm going to run through with you guys, how is it like on Figma? How is it like on Adobe XD? Okay. And last but not least, Marvel, right? So Marvel and Figma, I would say almost the same, but I think it really depends on which one you guys prefer, or which one you guys land on it first. But there is also Marvel, very similar to Figma. So for you guys to do a quick Google search, and you guys can find out more information there. Okay. So last but not least, I'm not sure if you guys have, okay, if you guys have never seen this before, you guys I'm not sure if you guys should be here, but anyway, this is Microsoft PowerPoint. Back in the days, when I was still in school, we actually used PowerPoint to do prototyping. But today there are actually a lot more better ones, solutions out there like Adobe XD and stuff like this, right? But don't forget that, if you guys just can't get it done with Adobe XD and all the features, you can actually just share your ideas using PowerPoint slides as well. And in case you guys do not know, you can actually export your PowerPoint slides with the animations and everything into a video as well. All right, so that's the power of PowerPoint slides. But I just wanted to point out to you guys that don't forget that there's this thing called PowerPoint, and you can use it. All right. Now I've shared with you guys, what are the tools that you guys can use, but I didn't touch a lot on, the design portion. But I felt that I actually need to share with you guys this. There is this thing that we use called undraw.co. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of this before. Anyone? Raise up your hand if you have heard of it. If no, then give a thumbs down. Undraw.co. Oh, what an expression is this? Okay. Yeah, so there is this undraw.co, and basically it gives you all the illustrations. If I'm not wrong, it is actually done by a bunch of MIT students. And it's still taking over, by the next batch of students that they continue to build on this database. But basically, it gives you all the illustrations that very common use cases. And those are those are royalty free, so you can just download them. You can click on the button and change the color scheme, and then you will have everything in there with the same colors, right? So they export it out in PNG, JPG, and SVG for you, so that you can use it in wherever your projects or your PowerPoint slides, right? So this is something I thought it would be good, right? Because if you want to depict your idea, you want to share your use cases, your user journey and stuff like this, some of these illustrations would actually be very good for you guys to share your ideas as well. Okay, so just keep a lookout for undraw.co. Yep, so we'll have our break time, but before that, we still have some time. I said 5 minutes, so let me just quickly share with you guys some of XD and Figma. Right, so there is one that we have done, which is to redesign the parents for this app of ours. And what our designers do is that they actually did he done the things on Adobe, and you can actually export them out into a link so that your users can view them on the web page or on the mobile application, right? So as you can see, it grows very big, right? We have like 82 screens over here. We set down the icon style, and these are really more fixed, proper design kind of terms, but for your prototyping, you don't have to go so deep into the details, right? But if you look at the playing of this, right, wait now, let's see. Right. So once you are here, you can actually link the buttons and everything together. You can see that when I click somewhere else on the screen, there is like all these glowing icons, and these are all clickable links, right? So when I click on it, it brings me to the notification page, for example, and I can even drag and drop, stuff like that. So when I go this, I can go back, for example, right? So these are some of this is how you can actually come up with the design. It doesn't necessarily have to look very good, in your prototype. It's a prototype, right? But it needs to clearly share what the features is all about. For example, in this case, right, what the users can see is his balance and the child's balance, right? What the user can see, what the user can also see in this place is that he can see what's the child's card details and what were the most recent transactions and taskings. Right? So these are some of the top processes behind the scenes, and then for each feature and stuff like this, we actually come up. So there is also the one that is done by Figma. So Figma is more something like this. The functionalities, like what I said, is all almost the same, right? This is how the child will look like, something like that, right? Then you can click, you go to balance, right? So the child and the parent, they see different views because the child-wise, we want to make it more exciting for them. Okay, so these are some of the how we actually use them, and basically at the end of the day, right? With all of the 5 tips, 5 checklists, the 6 checklists that you have, you guys are actually good to go for submitting your ideas already, for submission in stage 1, right? But through the exercise later, you guys would actually be able to understand, how it is like. And basically what I've done is I prepared, like a small link checklist for you guys. And as we break out into the teams later, we will announce who are in what team, right? We will then, let me see, there is that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, so we probably have one team only, then that's actually pretty easy for us to do over here. But I would like to encourage you guys to actually unmute your mic, and then let's have a discussion here. Okay, so the team together with Adi and Jiarui here, right, we actually identified, so we want to make English learning fun. I think these are the fixed ones, right? But over here, there was actually some pretty interesting differences, right? As we go along, we felt that the web as well as the mobile are very, very similar in terms of the implementation, right? But if you look at the access over here, right, one of them actually felt that if you look at the delivery over here, one of them felt that it might be a little bit difficult to implement if I were to do this on the web. Right, it's easier to have it on the mobile phone, and that's why after that the team selected on the mobile. And features-wise, right, we only identified one each, right? So for how to evoke creativity, the idea was to actually create a 10-word sentence piecing, right? So we just dump 10 words to you, and then you can find, you try to piece a sentence out of it. How to evoke their curiosity was to really have a leaderboard, right? So that they can share, they can learn more about what the other players are doing. And then to build a habit of reading is actually a daily article, which Adi actually suggested. Right, so in the feature system, for the 10 words thing, we actually feel for us to build a feature, we need to have a database of words, and we need to actually build a list of correct answers, right? And to really have this 10-word sentence to invoke their creativity, we need to have some score system as well. So one of the want to have feature is actually to share this, to share with their friends. Right, but for a daily article as an example, right? So the team suggested that we need to actually have links to articles. We might want to have a synopsis or basically a summary of the article. And also one very interesting feature is actually to highlight words, right? So maybe the idea that I understood from the team was that maybe we can identify the difficult words and then we'll highlight them so that the users, if they click on it, right, they can actually go and learn more about the definition of the word or stuff like that, right? And the must-have feature is that we must record down the read or unread, right? The one to have is that we can actually record down how long the user read the articles for. Okay, Now, moving on, we went through the screens, right? So the very first screen that we are expecting is a welcome screen, and actually Adi had a very good idea to, show some animation or some vocab learnings or some words flying around. Then there is a next button. We'll then bring them to the setup page because there is ranking, right? So we want to know what's the user's name. Then after that, there was some discussion on the leadership board one, where there will be rankings and we record down, we'll show how many attempts the users, each of them have done so. And then there was an idea from Jiarui that says when we click on it, right, when we click on an individual record, they will actually be able to see more detailed info. So at the next screen, right, which is the leaderboard detailed info, we will be able to see the player name, the attempts, as well as the strengths and weakness of this player, for example. All right, so this is the idea that we have came up with and the features. Alina, what about your team?
I will share because he have the info.
It's here also. It's here on my screen. Yep. It's Ihan, is it? Yep. Ethan. Yes.
Yes.
Your show.
So we basically decide, like, we feel that the web is the easier to access and easiest to deliver compared to mobile, because mobile got different OS, so it's easier to just use on the web browser, to implement on a web browser.
Okay, so let's move. What about your features?
Our feature is more like what we want to have. Like for like the feature one is how we invoke the creativity. We have like challenge or quizzes, like just like the example, we have a challenge or quizzes for the students to do, or we can also have a guidance forum for the students to ask questions, like relating to the homework, or like if any questions on English, and then there will be, it is like Stack Overflow, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so social learning in a way, right?
Yeah, social learning.
Okay. Good idea. And then
yeah, to invoke their curiosity, right, we have like interactive text. It's like there is like they can hover over like difficult words, and then they will show an animation or like info text box to explain what the word means if they don't understand.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, then what about the habit of reading?
We have reading like a daily article as well, like
Similar
a short
to
story.
our article feature,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and then there's this read along.
Read along, then they can read, like there is like speech recognition, they can read it out, and then they will be awarded for it.
So you guys actually, so the idea is to have a speech recognition feature to measure the accuracy of the pronunciation, is it?
Yeah, and
that's cool.
To make sure that they actually read it. Some they can just browse through it, if not, like they can just scroll through it, not reading.
You can practice for their oral exams also, because it can be targeted at primary school kids, secondary school kids also.
Interesting. Okay. What about the feature system? So what was the thought process behind?
Like the feature is like daily challenges. So
you have point system.
Point system or system of the guidance forum. So what we want to have is must have is the daily challenges. But for the other things, is not so it's not so important to have.
Okay.
To achieve our goal. And then for the feature 2 is the interactive text, animation on text box. The animation is not a must-have, but the info text box is
interactive. Is the info text box is a must-have. Okay.
Yeah. The animation may or may not need to have.
Okay.
So the daily article and read along. Daily article is the more the must-have, and the read along is not so important compared to it.
I have to correct you guys a little bit in here. Basically, for the feature, right? Okay. For feature system, right? Okay. This one is really more of for each challenge. So you can see over here, right? The how you want to achieve. So there is a evoke your creativity, curiosity, and inculcate a habit of reading, right? If you have 10 items over here, then you will have 10 items over the features. You have 10 rows in here, which will solve the challenge over here. So this is curiosity, how is feature, how do you do creativity, how do you do curiosity, and how do you do habit of reading. For the feature system, right, okay, for each item in here, it will be one row in here.
Okay.
You understand? So this is
Yes.
challenges, then this is the interactive text. Okay, this is the interactive text feature. And then this is the daily article. Then you guys should actually have one more row that says read along.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Yeah, so just to correct you guys, but yeah, you guys are getting there. Okay, then what about user journey? So what can the user see, the first screen?
The homepage, like they have updates and info on the homepage, and like the login tab is there, and then after that they can click on the login to register, like, or log in into their accounts.
Yep. Okay, so I think you get the point as to what is the thought process for the user journey.
Yes.
As you go down, right? Okay, there will be more things that the users can do, and for each thing that the user can do, there will be new screens. Okay, so I hope that through this exercise, you guys are clear on how are clearer, right, on how you guys can actually structure your thinking, right, to really break things down into very small pieces like this, right, and it will help you to actually come up with a really solid idea. All right. Okay. Any questions so far? Adi, Adi as well as Jia Wei or Ethan. So far, okay? I can't really see your chat. Oh, okay, I can see the chat. Yes. Don't worry. I will share with you guys the slides and templates later. Okay. Happy to do that. Now let me come back to the slides because we actually still have a checklist 7 and 8. All right. And okay. So we are done with the session right now. How much time more we have? I think we are actually a little bit behind time already. Let me see. Team sharing 440. Okay, still got enough time. Okay, so I hope you guys have learned something here, but now it is time to get back on topic, right? The stage that I have brought you guys in was really about purely solving problems first, right? And the reason why is because you don't want to bring technology everywhere and then you hope that it will solve a problem, right? You should be able to solve a problem without technology first. Okay, and that's the whole main point of this competition, right? Because we want to solve problems, okay? And we are excited to see how you use technology to solve the problem. So now, okay, I will go through with you guys what is digital intelligence. I'll run through with you guys what is cloud, and I run through with you guys how you guys should see these two things first, right? Then I will teach you guys how you can put this into your ideas that you guys have already done. Okay, now digital intelligence, right, is about understanding who your who's, the students, right, the education age children, right, and how they're actually using your application, whether it's a website or a mobile app in here. All right, we want to study them. We want to know how it works. Right, we want to be able to help them to give them certain a different experience. Right, if you see, is to optimize their experience. Okay, and in today's world, basically, digital intelligence is the ability, right, to transform data. All right, so now what you need to think is digital intelligence, right? Based on all the features that you guys have identified, you need to start collecting certain data at all the features, so that you can actually understand the user better, understand the users, what are the actions and what are their thinking, what are their strengths, and so on and so forth. All right. So, wait. Any questions for me for digital intelligence? I mean, feel free to just use your mic, yeah. Because the class size is actually very small, so not an issue. Is it clear to you guys what digital intelligence is? Yeah, okay. So now I think I have a prediction, right? So y'all might be actually worried saying, oh, then where does AI comes in? Where does machine learning comes in? You know, and stuff like this, right? Okay, I'll be very honest with you. Actually, it's all part in here. Artificial intelligence is about getting the data and making a decision on behalf of a human. Digital intelligence is also similar, right? Machine learning is based on the decision, we find the best decision. All right. So all of these things encapsulate under digital intelligence. All right. So I hope that this also makes it clear. Now, let's move on to cloud. Okay. So what exactly is cloud? Actually, it's a very, very simple concept. All right. Cloud is the delivery of computing services. Right? When you want to view a website, you want to do a video call, you need a computer somewhere, whether it's a phone or it is a laptop, it's computer, right? When you are running a mobile app, you need a computer as well. When you are running the back-end services of a service or of an app or a solution, you need computing services as well, all right? So these are some of the common services, right? So you will have servers that will contain some business logics, you know, to really host some of the APIs or something like that. You will have storage, right? Where do you save all the files? Imagine the person uploads the profile picture. One of your players upload the profile picture. Where do you store it? On your own computer? It doesn't make sense, right? It stores databases, right? It sets up networking, protects your servers, put in software, analytics, and stuff like this. So this is what cloud is all about, right? And if I were to put it into a context that you can understand it today, right? Imagine you have a service, right? Your service, I'm a mobile app and I will connect to your computer to fetch the rankings, to fetch the daily articles, for example, right? You are just one dot over here. All right, and there are a lot of things that that can happen, right? People will want to hack you, people will want to fetch, steal your data, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth, right? And the cloud basically is a resource that you can, you know, with a snap of a finger or a few clicks, you can spawn 20 of this one dot here, right? And that is the power of cloud, and that is why cloud is a very, very, very game-changing technology, right? That enables you to do the different things, which brings me to the next point, right? Now I've explained about digital intelligence. I've explained to you guys about cloud, you know, so where do these technologies sit in your idea? Okay, actually it's very simple. You don't have to put this in first, but you should see this as an enabler, right? And actually with Eason's suggestion on the speech recognition thing, right? With AI, that is an enabler, right? Okay, so this, you have to see all these technologies as an enabler. Oh, I have a problem, you know, and it basically enables you to do things that it would either be immensely resource intensive or near impossible to do. For example, right, if there is no AI, how can we actually translate from a speech to text? How can we translate? How can we measure the accuracy of speech? Right, we will have to actually run through different if-else cases, you know, in the codes, and that will be near impossible to achieve. And that's why, you know, with artificial intelligence, we are able to do that. Okay, behind the scenes in our brains, right? Actually, we are actually doing all these things in very split seconds, right? But the computers, you know, they need electricity and everything to run, all right? But where do all these technology sits is really as an enabler. So what I would encourage you guys to do is to think of a solution without all these things first, right? When you guys think that, you know, this solution really solves the problem, it has very high impact, you know, and the screens look nice, the features are very exciting, that's where you guys bring the technology in, because it will be a game changer, and trust me, you guys will be so excited about it, right? So that's what where the technology sit in. So now let's go on to checklist 7, right? The question here is, how can we make the features smarter with data intelligence? All right. And the framework that I would like to give to you guys is actually very simple, right? For each of the feature that you guys have, look at personalization. Can we personalize this or not? For example, right, for the daily articles that, you know, both teams actually came out with similar ideas, right? Imagine you are very excited about sports, and I keep sending you articles about zoo related, animals related. Would you be excited to read them? You wouldn't be, right? And how do we know that? right? It's because we try to push this article to you and you didn't read it, but we try to push a sports article to you and you read it, right? So with data intelligence, we record all of this information and we start personalizing our features for the users. So now, instead of just randomly picking one article to give to the users, we will then start sending, encouraging the users to read articles that they are interested in, which is sports in this case, right? And to do that, you need to identify what are the data points that you can collect. Okay, so an example, let's just say the daily articles, right? And you want to actually give them based on the topics, right? This means that your previous daily articles, you need, links, you need whether the person read or didn't read, right? But with this personalization feature now, you need to actually include the topic of the article. So that's a new data point that you will need to identify. All right. And so for each feature, basically, you just keep repeating. Now, I want to make a point here, right? Is that not every feature can be personalized. Not every feature needs to have an enhancement. Okay, so don't be so worried about it. Basically, as long as you guys have at least one feature that you are using AI or data intelligence in, you hit the points already in this competition. All right. It's not about how often you use it, it's about where you use it and how effective does it work. Okay, just remember this point, yeah? Okay, so next, it's about the services. So this is for cloud, okay? And this one are very, very easy, okay? It's a yes or no question only. Now, what computing services do we need, okay? And we have a few questions to ask, very simple. The first one, you need the service to be 24/7 or not? Do you expect, because if you don't, assuming that you are hosting this, you are building the services on your computer, you actually need to keep your computer on for 24/7. So that when people tries to connect to the app and it calls the API, right, your computer is on and it's serving the API. Now, if you need it to be, the next question is, can you do that? Can you keep your computer on for 24/7? Will your parents scold you or not? Highly likely, yes, right? So that's where cloud comes in, right? From a business perspective, it's also cheaper and I don't have to worry about all these things. I know that there are, if there's a power shortage or whatsoever, right, the service will still be there. And that is the power of cloud. Right, so the very first question you need to ask yourself is, this feature or this entire solution that I have, do I need it to be available 24/7? Okay, if the answer is yes, then you need cloud. Next, do you need to store data? If the answer is yes, then you need a database. Right? Then you go back to the same question again. Do you need it to be 24/7 available? If the answer is yes, then you need a cloud database. Okay, moving on, right? Do you need to perform some back-end logic? Okay, what I mean by back-end logic, basically rules that, no people can try to abuse, can change. If yes, then you need cloud computing. All right. Last but not least, do you need to store files? If you need to store files, right, whether it is images or, some PDF or whatsoever, then yes, you need file storage. And it all goes back to the same question again. Do you need it to be 24/7? If yes, then you need a cloud storage. Okay, so I hope that you guys are clearer on what is all this, right? And the next exercise is actually very quickly, right? That I hope that you guys can start thinking, pick one feature that you guys have thought of, right? And try to bring data intelligence in. Okay, Vivian, can we do a breakout room again? Okay. Hold on, okay, let's move. So now we are back. Let's go on to the sharing session first. Maybe Jerry, you want to share how the team actually discuss on how we can use digital intelligence for our idea? Hello, Jerry. Yep, we can hear you.
So we went through enhancements for the leaderboard and the daily articles. Show leaderboard based on the user's favorite topic under personalization, and recommendations for daily articles under personalization, and topics and likes and articles read for data points for leaderboard.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to add on. So the team basically looked at if we were to go to the leaderboard, what would be interesting to us, and I think they thought that we basically thought that showing you the leadership board for the topic that you're interested in might actually encourage you to also go and challenge them lah, right? So that's where it encourages curiosity and creativity. Okay. Then over here, services 8, I think all of them have the same answers. But let's move on to the next team, which is Eason's team.
For the feature one, the challenges is based on their the strength or their weaknesses. If they got quite a lot of wrong, then at the front, then we can give them some of their strength to encourage them. And if they got a lot of correct, then we give them some weaknesses for them to strengthen on. So the data we collect is the correct or wrong answers based on topic.
Okay.
For the interactive text, we can increase the info shown if it is frequently clicked, for the user to understand it better. Okay. And then we collect the number of clicks for each word. And then for read along, we collect for the frequency of we collect the frequency of mispronounced words and to show them where is mispronounced and how can they pronounce it better, and we can push more articles that have these words. Yeah, they're mispronounced words.
Okay, yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, so for services, it's all yes also. So I mean, basically in here, the use of the enhancements are really like this, right? There are actually many ways for you to use AI and machine learning, and I want you guys to really think through about how or what you can do. And personalization is just one of the easiest way to do that, right? There are actually a lot of others also. Not only personalization, there is also others that can you use data intelligence to increase the effectiveness, right? Like no AI, it is like at a 75% effectiveness. With AI, maybe it's at a 90%, right? So that is how all of us, you guys can actually think through, right? On what are the through this exercise, the proper implementation of digital intelligence and cloud into your solution, right? Just remember, my key point is very simple, which is basically you don't start thinking, wow, how do I put AI in first, right? You solve the problem first, then you bring AI to enhance the effectiveness of your solution. Okay, I hope that is clear to you guys. And if you guys head towards that direction, trust me, I think the solutions that you guys the solutions that you guys come up with will be very innovative and very exciting, right? So let's move on to the tips, right? We still have actually, I think we'll be able to end this earlier. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I hope you guys learned something, but I also wanted to give you guys some tips, right? So bear with me for another 5-10 minutes or something. Now, this is the requirements in the website, right? What are the things that we need to that we expect from you guys? Okay. Wait. Yep. If you look into this, right, name of the project, wow, you guys hit it. How do I name the project? Actually, if you guys have gone through with the prototype, there are actually some keywords that you guys can link up with and play around with the name, and you guys can have a project already, right? The challenge sub-teams also, you guys should already have identified the sub-teams in your ideation phase, right? Opportunity identified also, this is addressed in the ideation phase. So if you guys really keen to learn more about that, right, do join Dr. Gary's workshop on next Friday on the 2nd, right? Now the proposed idea and the platform, this is where you guys come in, right? Based on the sentence, based on the flow that I have guided you guys on, let's just take the team tools one for example, right? What is the proposed solution to the identified problem, right? So the identified problem is that, maybe the students, school age children feel that English is not fun, right? So we want to make English, learning English fun, but through a website, right, that promotes challenges, that encourages our users to take on challenges, and we give them quizzes, right? And at the same time, we show them some interactive text, so that they will be excited to click on it to build up their curiosity, right? And on a daily basis, or and whenever they visit the website, they will come. We will actually share with them related short stories, so that they will be encouraged to read the article, to build a habit of reading. So just based on all these things, right, you guys can actually put in a lot of details already from all these things, right, by piecing them up together. Okay. Then of course, who's the target audience, and originality and value. I will encourage you guys to really look into the part where you guys bring in the enhancements, right? So what is original of you guys is that we actually there is this read along feature that we identify mispronounced words, and blah blah blah, and we make use of data intelligence to or speech recognition technology to do so. And then data set will be, whatever data set, if you guys are using any data to train your AI and stuff like that. All right. So based on the checklist that you guys have done, the exercise that you guys have done, in fact, actually, I would say you guys might actually have like 90% of the details that is required to come up with this submission already. Okay. Of course, it's not a full thing, right? You guys will definitely have to go deeper into the thing, right? But don't worry, because stage A, it's about the ideas. In stage B, there will be workshops, there will be mentors that will support you guys, that will give you guys advice, just like how for Eason just now, you guys were mentioning about the idea that you guys have was about which one the challenge quiz guidance for forum, right? I mean, a mentor will come in and say yes, but you, instead of calling this a guidance forum, you guys can actually share that this feature is for social sharing, social learning. So the mentors in stage B will actually help you guys to refine the ideas and then guide you guys through from the technical to the solutioning along the way, right? So don't worry, it's about the idea first, and ideas always are built on top of ideas. All right, so get started with one of them and you will get the ball rolling, and you guys will be able to do this. Now, the second tip that I want to give you guys, or actually still the same tip, right? Okay, is that in the submission, you guys are actually allowed to bring in 5 images also, right? I don't want you guys to have the wrong impression, but basically the 5 images should very quickly explain what the application is all about or what the solution is all about. It doesn't necessarily have to be web UI. It doesn't necessarily have to be just one screen. Okay, and this is an example that I wanted to share with you guys, and I felt that actually it's pretty good, right? In this, right, one of the images you can put in could be the persona that explains your users, right, the studies that you guys have done, and stuff like this, so that when the judges are reading this, right, they get to understand, okay, so you guys have done some studies to this, whether it's feasible or what were the problems that they face, right? And then this one, the one that I have shared on the right side, which is the one by Slack, that is actually one picture, not 3 pictures. Okay, that is one picture that shows, the features very quickly. Welcome to Slack, all your team communication in one place, instantly searchable. Then they have channels feature, they have direct messages. All right, this is another way for you to actually show the your features and functionalities. All right. So I want you guys to get creative. Don't just limit yourself to what the common ways of doing this are. And I would say, these are actually really impressive. If you guys for you guys to put in, it does give you guys some plus points lah. All right. So do consider about this. I mean, this is a MacBook that everybody's fighting for, yeah. So do the best do the best that you can. I think it's a very worth it price. And if you have 3 people, then there's 3 MacBooks, okay? So it's 1 MacBook per member, right? Now, tip 2, okay? If I have to bring everybody back to the past, right? Now, the reason why we have this team was because of COVID-19, and it has changed a lot of things, right? Maybe you guys may not feel it, maybe you guys feel it too, all right? But can you imagine what if COVID-19 happened 10 years ago? All right? There is no such thing as trace together. There is no such thing as, not many people might have mobile applications, mobile phones, right? The mobile application market was still still very small, right? Those are the things that technology enabled us to do this. Why is it that we have traced together and we can very quickly identify people who may have been exposed to COVID-19? It's because of technology, right? So ideas really come because of a good opportunity, as well as the technology is there and the platform is there for everyone to innovate, right? And today it is actually at a very, very good point. Why? Because there's AI, there's machine learning, right? There's digital intelligence, there is cloud. All the problems that we faced 10 years ago, right? I told you guys that I've been coding for the last 15 years. 10 years ago and now, oh, it's a big difference, trust me, right? The things that I did that I had to spend 3 months to do last time, I can finish it in 3 days today because of the technology, right? And how I managed to do that for the next workshop that I'll be conducting on the building a cloud-based application 101, that's where I'll share with you guys. Okay, so judging criteria is also very straightforward. As you guys can see, for shortlisting in stage A, it's about 20% feasibility, originality and uniqueness, creativity, relevance to team, and impact on target audience. If you guys really look through the checklist, right, we are hitting all these points. All right. Of course, you guys can feel free to expand more, and build on top of what template is already there for, right? But yeah, these are examples of how this is where you guys can look into it, right? And in stage B, it's about the execution of ideas, and that's where you guys have mentors to come in to help. Your teachers will help you, right? And in special awards, we also will bring in some of our volunteers to guide you guys along the way, right? So this whole competition, it's meant for learning. It's a learning journey. It's an innovation kind of challenge, for our students to really just participate. So I hope that you guys can, bring in some of your friends, to join you in the competition, and I look forward to seeing your entries. All right. Last but not least, Q&A. Do you have any questions? I think I need to show the chat first. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Hello. Any questions? No? Adi is okay? Okay, Isan is okay. What about Jerry? Okay, so if not, we have come to the end of the workshop. I thank you guys for the time that you guys have spent. I hope you guys have learned something from there, from this.